She walked through the office door like she had been there for years. No badge, no escort, just the same confident strides, that same look in her eyes that told you she knew something you didn't. She was no more than 24. But the way she moved, the way she held herself, she might as well have been running the company. It was like everyone else had to jump through hoops to get through security, but not her. She just strolled right past the front desk, her heels clicking against the floor, her gaze focused straight ahead. I stood there, clutching my coffee, watching her walk past me like I was a ghost. I hadn't seen her before. Didn't know her name, but I'd know her later. Her name was Megan. Megan, the niece of the CEO. The CEO himself, Robert, who barely even acknowledged anyone on a regular day, greeted her like she was the second coming. And there I was, still standing by the elevator, my coffee cooling in my hand, watching this young woman, barely older than a college intern, glide right through. As if the whole company had been waiting for her. They were 2 steps from the elevator when she finally looked up, like she was noticing me for the first time. She tilted her head slightly, a playful grin crossing her face as she said, "You must be Karen, right?" I froze. I nodded slowly, then came the line I'd replay in my head 1,000 times after that day. "You're the one I'm replacing, right?" My mouth went dry. It wasn't fear, at least not right away. It was something deeper, something more primal instinct, maybe. Like when a server flickers but doesn't crash, you can feel the misfire. It was the same sensation. Everything inside me just went quiet, like a low buzz humming behind my ribs. I forced a laugh. "I don't think we've met." She shrugged, her gaze flicking to the elevator doors. "Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to say anything yet." She winked at me, and just like that, she stepped into the elevator beside Robert. Not another glance, not a word. The door closed. Silence returned. But inside me, something had shifted. That low buzz, that flicker, it wasn't going away. It was building, and I didn't know why. I didn't have time to think about it. Not yet. I had a job to do. Barely 15 minutes after I walked through the door, I saw my name flash across my screen. Meeting request. Immediate. No subject, no sender, just a timestamp and a location. Executive Conference Room B. I felt the same buzz rise inside me. That quiet hum, the one that always comes before something goes wrong. I grabbed my notebook, straightened my blouse, and made my way down the hall. The door was half open when I arrived. There they were. Robert, sitting at the head of the table. His hands were clasped, his eyes focused on the marble tabletop. Next to him, Dana from HR, her usual warmth replaced with that corporate neutrality. The kind of neutral expression that only meant one thing: this wasn't good. And there, sitting across from them, Megan. She was already settled in, sitting in the CTO's usual seat, legs crossed, her tablet glowing in her lap, like she belonged there. No one said anything as I entered. I sat in the empty chair, closed the door behind me, and tried to keep my breathing steady. "Karen," Robert began, his voice clipped, controlled. "You've been with us a long time. Longer than most people stay in this industry." I nodded, slowly, unsure if I was being complimented or if I was about to be fired. He continued, "But companies grow, technology changes, and leadership needs to reflect the future we want to build." A silence filled the room. It felt like it was closing in on me. A silence that threatened to choke me. Then came the words that would change everything. "It's time we embrace new energy," Robert said, his voice flat, rehearsed. "Megan will lead that transition." I blinked. "Wait, you're restructuring?" Dana leaned in, her voice softer than usual. "This isn't about performance, Karen. It's about realigning with our evolving brand vision." Realigning. That was the language they used when someone was getting shoved out the door. Robert slid a folder across the table like it was a menu at a restaurant. I didn't touch it right away. I couldn't. My fingers felt stiff. My mind was still trying to process the words I'd just heard. They were handing me my termination. "Here's your exit package," Robert said, almost too calmly. I glanced at the folder, then back at Megan, who was sitting there like she'd just won a prize. She leaned forward, her smile tight. "I'm really excited to learn from everything you've built, Karen. I mean, what a foundation to inherit." Inherit? As if I was dead. I glanced down at the folder again. My name, my role, my termination. And then, the name that made my stomach drop: Hugo G. Alvarez. My ally, my friend. The guy I'd mentored for a decade. He'd signed off on my termination. I Swallowed hard. The words wouldn't come. I closed the folder, stood up slowly, methodically. Am I allowed to say goodbye to my team? I asked, my voice sounding foreign in my own ears. Dana offered a half smile. Of course, but we'd appreciate it if you kept things neutral. Neutral. As if 21 years of my life could be boiled down into a single, sanitized line that wouldn't upset anyone. I didn't argue, didn't cry. I just nodded and walked out, leaving my office behind. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. It was like the whole building knew what was happening and no one dared get too close. I couldn't even say goodbye to my team. Not one person came to my door, not even to wish me luck. I packed my things slowly. My office, my second home for over 2 decades, now felt like a stranger's closet. The framed picture of my dog, Bailey, the chipped coffee mug that said System Whisperer, everything I'd worked for now had an expiration date stamped on it. Then, a shadow paused at my door. Hugo, he hesitated before stepping halfway in, his eyes down, shoulders hunched. He didn't speak at first. I waited. I didn't want to say anything first. Hugo, you signed it, I said quietly. He flinched. I didn't know how else to handle it. I stared at him. You signed it, Hugo. You had a choice. He winced. I thought you knew. I thought you were a part of the transition. I shook my head. They moved behind my back, didn't they? His voice barely reached me. I thought you knew they were stripping your access. They did it for days ago. I didn't have a choice. For days. For days, while I was still doing the work, still showing up early, still keeping everything running smoothly. And in that time, they'd already removed my admin rights. Without even telling me, I felt my jaw tighten. When exactly did they take my admin rights, Hugo? He froze. I could see the panic rise in his face. I didn't. You moved fast. I cut in. You didn't even give me a chance to react. He was silent. I moved away from him. I grabbed my last notepad and slid it into the cardboard box. That was when I saw it. The access logs. I walked to my desk and swiped my badge one last time. The scanner beeped, the light turning green. I didn't belong here anymore, but the system still thought I did. I set the badge down on my desk. The sound of it hitting the wood was louder than anything that had been said in that meeting. I turned and walked away. As I made my way down the hallway, something strange pulled me toward the HR kiosk. It was empty. No one was around. The terminal sat there, waiting. I walked behind it and typed in my credentials. The screen loaded quickly. There it was. A list of administrative changes, password migrations, role handovers. And there it was, the transfer of full system access. To Megan. I stared at the screen, my stomach sinking. They hadn't just replaced me. They'd taken everything. They'd handed over the keys to the kingdom. Without even telling me. I clicked download. I saved the files. It was done. Later that night, I sat in my apartment, the box still untouched in the corner of the living room. I opened my old laptop, the one they couldn't reach. I searched through old emails. Intellectual property transfer, 2022. It popped up immediately. I clicked open. The signature field was blank. They had never gotten my signature. I scrolled further down to the meeting notes from the legal team. It was all there. Everything. The contract that had never been signed. The IP that wasn't theirs. It belonged to me. I could feel the shift. Something inside me had started to click. They thought they had wiped me out. They thought they had erased me, but I wasn't gone. Not yet. I didn't go to sleep that night. I didn't go to bed until the plan had formed. I logged into my old test environment. It was still there. Hidden, dormant, untouched. Megan had no idea what she was touching. She had no idea what she was working with. I could have destroyed it. All shut the whole thing down. But I didn't. I rewrote the conditions. I set the trap. A silent lockout. A kill switch buried under layers of decoy code. I wasn't looking for revenge. I wasn't angry. I just wanted leverage. I saved everything. And then I let it sit there. Let them think they were in control. A few weeks passed. Megan's rebrand was everywhere. She was in interviews. On LinkedIn, showing off her vision. It was all a lie. I knew it. Then, it happened. The system crashed. In front of cameras, in front of the press. The brand new platform they had built came tumbling down. The last thing I did was save the screenshot. The log that showed everything. I sent it to her. And just like that, I was free. I never asked for recognition. Never wanted the credit. But now, I had something better: control. A new opportunity came knocking. I didn't need to go back to them. Not anymore.